Hi, my name is Judge, and this is the final part of our Maw and Disorder Arena card review. We've got 9 more cards to go. We've already seen some pretty insane ones, some pretty garbage ones. Let's see what the final 9 have in store for us, starting with a Demon Hunter spell, All Fel Breaks Loose. 5 mana, summon a friendly demon that died this game, infuse 3 demons, summon 3 instead. This seems all sorts of too conditional to make work. Obviously, the best case scenario is you're summoning Illidari Inquisitor, maybe you're 8/8 taunt, gain 8 armor, and you're just getting all these huge demons back. But that seems more like a constructed thing and much more difficult to make work in Arena. Yeah, maybe you get the dream draft of all these big demons or mid-range demons, and this actually works. But the infusion is already tough. And then to hit the demons, you want to hit decent-sized demons to make this work is tough. I feel like this is just going to be a waste of space most of the time. You can try to force it to work, it usually won't, and then sometimes you'll get good ones, but it just seems way too inconsistent. We'll see if there are any big demons, a lot of them in the next meta, but really seems to go against the consistent style of Demon Hunter, which is big tempo early, light decks, finishing them with tempo. So don't really see this one working for Arena. Next, we have another Demon Hunter card, 4 mana, 5/4, Battle Cry. Both players draw until they have 5 cards. This card is insane. Even just taking a step back from Arena and just looking at it, you run this as your top end in a constructed Demon Hunter. That's a lot of cards. 5 cards for a finely statted minion. So how good is this going to be in Arena? I think it's going to be great. I think this card's going to be incredible. Like I just said, Demon Hunter's best game plan, most consistent game plan, is decks that start on 1, curve out quickly, and just win based off of early tempo. So lots of times Demon Hunter has less cards in hand come turn 4 and 5 than the opponent in the first place, making this even better. If you have that aggro game plan, you don't really care about how many cards they have most of the time. So playing this is usually going to be better for you as far as drawing the cards than the opponent. A 4 mana 5/4 Battle Cry draw card would be insane. And I think that this is kind of going to be insane for that reason. You draw 3 cards, your opponent draws 2. Sure, this card just seems fantastic. Fits Demon Hunter's game plan. The worst case scenario is you're up in a mirror match and you draw each other 5 cards, and then you continue. And that's, that's its worst case. It's not going to happen very often. Card seems really strong, and one I'm going to be picking up a lot if I can in my Aggro Demon Hunters. Alright, next up we have a Druid spell. The last Druid spell we looked at was not very good. Let's see if this one's better. Incarceration, 3 mana, choose a minion. It goes dormant for 3 turns. Interesting. So, not an actual hard removal for killing a minion, as it will come back in a bit, but it is interesting that Druid gets this piece because they really do struggle with having any hard removal to deal with big things. Usually they just have to get a wide board and get board buffs to help deal with big bodies. And now they actually have some hard removal. You think about Mulch. Compared to this, it's removal with a downside. This is removal not necessarily always with a downside. The idea is you probably just get an early token board, buff it, get wide, and then when they play an annoying big taunt, you can just disappear it and continue to go face and finish the game before 3 turns are up. It also makes it dormant, meaning any annoying death rattles won't trigger. So you have a death rattle that heals or gains armor, you can get rid of that and continue to finish off the game. With the idea being if they survive another 3 turns, it means they probably cleared your aggro token board, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway if it was killed or not. So I think this card's actually going to be good, even though it kind of seems like it could be a 3 mana, just delay waiting to be losing again. I think this card's actually going to be a lot better than that because of the way Druid operates, the same way as Demon Hunter, where you're usually looking to gain the board nice and early and finish fast because you don't have the tools to bring it back. Now we do have this to get around taunts and finish games. I think it's going to be good, especially because it's the only hard removal Druid has too, so you can't really be too picky. Next, we have a Druid card that I know is definitely very good. Attorney at Maw. 2 mana, 1/3. Choose one, silence a minion, or give a minion immune this turn. This card is insane. This is one of the best cards we've seen in the mini set for sure. It's going to be really near an auto pick. You're going to see a lot of this. It's a cheaper Death Speaker with an option to be a silence. You look at this compared to Ironbeak Owl, rip Ironbeak Owl. This card's fantastic. It's versatile. Its stats are, thank goodness, not 2/3. So at least there's that. But the immune this turn is what you're going to want to use. You're going to want to use it on a mid-range minion as you trade into something relevant and just take the board. And that's what Druid wants to do, is just gain more stats on the board. So this card's just incredible. And, the fact that it has the silence is just gravy. Nearly an auto pick, probably about an auto pick. Card's nuts. All right, so Druid gets a nice tool, a couple nice tools there. Let us move on to some mage cards here. We've got a 4-mana mage spell, Life Sentence. Remove a minion from the game. Interesting. Very similar to the card we just saw from Druid, where you can deal with death rattles, no problem, I assume. What I'm assuming is that this just kind of poofs like Reno poofs the enemy away. And I also assume, this won't matter so much in Arena, but I also assume that that minion will not be in any sort of death rattle pool, or like if you're trying to discover and resurrect a minion, it's not going to be there because it has been removed from the game, imprisoned somewhere else entirely. Great. For Arena's purposes, we're pretty much just looking at a 4-mana Assassinate, which, Assassinate's a good card. Mage could use some removal. Great. Awesome. It's a good removal piece. So it's like a polymorph Assassinate where you don't have to worry about death rattle. Seems great. Seems like that will be a really, really powerful piece to include in any single mage. Really, what's left to say? It's just a really good piece of removal. Next we get Objection. 3-mana secret. When your opponent plays a minion, counter it. So of course the dream is you counter something worth more than 3 mana. You play this coming into turn 7 or 8. They play their 8-drop and you've just gained 5 mana on them. In reality, people tend to play around secrets. If there's a ton of secrets, it can be tough to really make the right call, but this is playing around. You play around Mirror Entity the same way. You play around Explosive Ruins the same way, so I don't think this is going to be that hard to play around. And then when you spend 3 mana to counter a 2-drop or a 1-drop, you're going to feel bad. It's going to be a waste of a card. Yeah, there could be secret synergies to force, and that could be fun, so maybe you take it for that reason, but in general, this is not going to be a good card. The more wins you get, too, the better people will be at playing around your secrets, and there's just not going to be all that good. The times where you force your opponent to counter a big minion are going to be few, and the risk is too great, so I do not think this is going to be a good secret. Next, we have a 6-mana 6/6 Contract Conjurer. Costs 3 less for each secret you control. These secret cards for Mage are always so interesting because they're obviously, it's tough to make any sort of cohesive strategy work in Arena, like revolving around secrets. It's circumstantial and it's tough, but they're so just within the realm of possibility that it's like maybe. So I look at this and it's like 3-mana 6/6 is great. So all you really need is one fine secret to play with this, and you've got a good turn 6. But how much is it going to just be a dead card in your hand before you get that secret? You play something like the card that makes you discover 2 secrets, and then this is free. That's fantastic. If you get other secret synergy, like your next secret costs 0, and you can, save it for Conjurer, great. Seems like the synergy is very possible. It's just not going to be all that common. So I feel like this is going to be it's going to be an okay card. 6-mana 6/6 on its own, there are worse things to play. It's not great. If you don't have any secrets, it's going to be a risk. If you do, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty good. Depends how many secrets are going to be in the next meta, of course. We have 2 more cards to look at, both of them Shaman cards. Let's start with Torghast Custodian. 8-mana 6/10 Battle Cry for each enemy minion. Randomly gain Rush, Divine Shield, or Wind Fury. This card immediately reminds me of Twin Tyrant, where you just play a big body that punishes your opponent for maybe having made some good value trades or being ahead on the board. This is a big comeback mechanic. and it looks amazing. This card looks absolutely fantastic. Reminds me of a better Walking Fountain. Walking Fountain, of course, with the lifesteal, there were niches where it's like you needed that lifesteal, but I think this card is better. You don't really need much. Now, with these keywords, gaining them randomly, they just need 3 minions. I do not believe you can duplicate any of these keywords, because that's how it works on Ibis. You can't duplicate the keywords there. You can duplicate stats, but those weren't in bold. Once you have Rush, I believe it's done. If I'm wrong on that, then this card will get a lot worse. But I do believe if they have 3 enemy minions on the board, then you gain Rush, Divine Shield, and Wind Fury. Very reminiscent of Tiamat, but probably that 10 health making a huge difference for 1 more mana. You get 10 extra health. And a bonus thing seems very, very much similar in power to Tiamat to me. Maybe even stronger. This card's crazy good. And here's the thing. If your opponent doesn't have any enemy minions, then this is an 8 mana 6/10, which, no, that's not a good card. But it becomes a lot better when your opponent has 0 threats and nothing to do. All of a sudden you have a big minion on the board. And your opponent's got to develop and try to match the stats of this thing. So even when there aren't that many minions on the board, this is still good because it's just a big thing when your opponent has nothing. So I think most of the time this card's going to be insane, and then sometimes it'll just be good, but mostly it'll be insane. Our last card is a 3 mana 3/3 Framester Battle Cry. Shuffle 3 framed cards into the opponent's deck. When drawn, they overload for 2. So that's, that's positive 3 mana. You get a 3 mana 3/3 out there, and you spend 3 for that, and then they get overloaded for 6. Awesome. This is an interesting one because it's so RNG heavy, right? Only 3 get shuffled in. It could be a 3 mana 3/3 and just be a waste of space, or your opponent could find themselves skipping their next 3 turns in frustration. Most of the time, I think it's going to be the former. And I think this card is technically not going to be that good overall, just because it's too inconsistent. You don't even get a guaranteed draw of 1 single overload. But that being said, I'm certain I'm going to get hit by this, overload for 6 over the next 2 turns, and lose to it. It's not worth the risk from what I'm looking at here. Maybe I'm wrong. Thinking about shuffling 3, maybe you see 1 of them over the next few turns. It can be a little bit annoying, but it doesn't seem worth the risk of playing an understated minion on turn 3 when you could play a 3 mana 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think this is going to be very good, and I look forward to getting absolutely destroyed by it. That is it for our 35 mini set. Some heavy hitters. I think this is probably the mini set with the most weak cards I've seen. Some really truly unplayable cards in this one, but there are some extremely big effects mixed in here as well. Really looking forward to trying all of them out on Tuesday when the mini set is released. As usual, if you disagree with any of my reviews here, or you have anything to add, I would love to hear it in the comments below. Super fun, great stuff. Please do hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button. You'd be doing me a favor, and I will see you next time. Enjoy Maw and Disorder. Take care.
My name is Judge.
Whose name is Judge?
My name is.
Whose name is Judge?
My name is
That's a silly name.
Judge.
Okay, that's enough.